Welcome to NFL Imperialism. You may have seen this concept floating around YouTube, but I wanted to put my own spin on it by going through every season in the Super Bowl era and hopefully improving upon it. Before we get going, I humbly ask that you consider subscribing to the channel and dinging that bell icon for notifications. This is the channel's primary series, but we do other things as well in both the sports and the entertainment world. We're so glad you're here. Thank you very much. If you're interested in a full thorough breakdown of how imperialism works, feel free to take a look at the first 3 or so minutes of our initial video of the 1966 season. That video is linked on its own in the description below. Right beneath that is a link to a playlist of all completed imperialism videos to date. Otherwise, we're ready to start. We're going to wrap up the 80s with the 1989 season, a decade that was owned by the San Francisco 49ers and a season that was dominated by them. They won their 4th Super Bowl of the decade and did so with very little problem, outscoring their 3 opponents in the playoffs by exactly 100 points, a record that no one is ever likely to sniff, let alone break. Their final opponent in Super Bowl 24 was the Denver Broncos. Funnily enough, the only NFL team that the Niners never beat during the 1980s. They made up for that with a 55-10 shellacking, setting Super Bowl records for most points scored and largest margin of victory, records that still stand. That 49er dominance led them to an easy #1 overall ranking for 1989. The Broncos are no slouches, coming in at number 2, ahead of the Giants, Bengals, and Eagles. Lots of familiar faces in the bottom 5, but this was the season where the Dallas Cowboys really bottomed out. They'll be turning it around soon. We're ready to get on the field and decide this thing in 1989 imperialism. Here we go. And in our first game for 1989, we're going to get bottom 5 going to top 5 in the Battle of New Jersey, Jets at Giants. A giant field goal in the first quarter makes it 10-0. The ensuing kickoff is then fumbled by JoJo Townsend. There's Terry Kennard picking it up for about the easiest touchdown any NFL player can ever score. Runs it back in 2 yards for a Giant 17-0 lead. It wasn't much of a problem going forward for the big boys in blue. 36-3 is the final. The Jets tried but failed to invade the Giants. The Giants will take over the state of New Jersey and pick up 1989's first win in imperialism. We needed a photo finish on this one. I thought the arrow was going to bypass Illinois, but it hits the southern tip. The Chiefs are going to travel to Chicago to face the Bears. The Chiefs have the Nigerian nightmare Christian Okoye in the backfield. He led the league in '89 in rushing, but on this play, he's going to catch a touchdown pass. That is going to be the Chiefs' only touchdown of this game. It gives them a 13-0 lead. Kicker Nick Lowry did the rest of the work. They let one in late and they win this game 19-7. The Chiefs were one of 1989's most improved teams, whereas the Bears in 1989 were one of the most disimproved teams. That played out on this field in this game. The Chiefs take over the state of Illinois and get 1989 imperialism's first road victory. The Bills are taken to the Southwest, where they will square off with the Eagles in Philadelphia. The Bills lead 10-0 in the third quarter, just inside midfield. This delayed handoff goes to fullback Larry Kinnebrew. He does well to pick up about 15 yards here. The Eagles have him wrapped up, but he won't go down. He keeps running. The Bills pick up all kinds of blocks, and he will get into the end zone very slowly. He is a fullback. That touchdown puts the Bills up 17-0. They're going to take this game 17-7. Both teams moved the ball well, but couldn't score, so 17-7 stands as our final. The real life situation for the Eagles during this time is being reflected in Imperialism. An amazing defense, but not really getting the job done when it's most important. They lose their land, the Bills will take it over, and they will stay in the game. The Chargers have long made a habit of expanding into Arizona, but now that there's a team there, they're having to fend off an invasion. The Cardinals are coming to San Diego to play the Chargers. And the Cardinals have dominated this one. From the 20, already leading 21-0. This pass goes out to Roy Green, goes up and gets it, keeps the Chargers down, gives the Cardinals a 28-0 lead. They coast the rest of the way, and they win this game 28-6. For the Chargers, this continues their run as Imperialism's least successful team. For the Cardinals, it's their first win in Phoenix. They expand into Southern California, wiping out the Chargers and expanding their land. The Steelers will head to the southwest and hit the tip of West Virginia, which is Washington Redskins territory. That's going to be our next game. The Redskins' A.J. Johnson takes the opening kickoff and promptly fumbles it. Rod Woodson will force the fumble. He'll pick up the fumble, and he will score. What a way to start the game. That'll flatten the home crowd for sure. Pittsburgh leads 7-0, but Washington gets the ball. They don't fumble. They storm right back. It's 3rd and goal from the 12. Play action. Mark Rippon will find Art Monk. He gets away and he scores. So the Redskins avoid disaster, and they're able to tie this game up at 7 apiece. Pittsburgh will score again. It's 14-7, and now they have the ball on Washington's 12-yard line. Bubby Brister will look for Derek Hill. That's a touchdown. Pittsburgh's taking control of this game. They lead 21-7. There's still time left in the first half, and the Redskin passing game is working. For some reason, the Steelers will bring the defense up, and that's play action from Rippon. He's going to look for Gary Clark. Touchdown, Washington. Very big play for them. They will cut the deficit to 21-14 going into the second half. Pittsburgh faces 3rd and 16. They're going to sweep to Merrill Hodge. He's going to get the Steelers into field goal range and get more, but a field goal is all they'll get, 24-14. Washington now has a 4th quarter. Rippon is going to look for Gary Clark on 3rd down, incomplete. That's a field goal. They get another field goal. It's 24-20. Another play action. They like messing with this defense. Art Monk goes up and gets it. He's down at the 20-yard line. It is now 3rd and goal from the 9. Can they do it again? Rippon drops back, finds Gary Clark, touchdown. Monk and Clark were basically unstoppable in this game, and the Redskins have their first lead. Pittsburgh has driven the ball down to the 36, just outside of field goal range. They have no timeouts left. This pass will go to tight end Mike Mularkey. He makes the catch. The clock is ticking. Will they be able to get it going? No, they won't. And on the clock running out on them, the Steelers blow this game. Redskins win 27-24. The Steelers had that game in the palm of their hand, but they let it slip away. The Redskins will take over Western Pennsylvania and expand their land. Our pattern of one expansion, then a game continues. The Buccaneers will travel to Atlanta to face the Falcons. This was a close game until Tampa's passing attack came to life. They lead 21-10 in the 4th. Vinny Testaverde finds Mark Carrier, who had a huge game, giving the Bucs a 28-10 lead in the 4th quarter. Atlanta's not to be completely outdone though. They get it down to the 16-yard line, minute and change left. Chris Miller will find Mike Haynes for the diving touchdown. They get it back, and Miller will find Haynes again, but if you look at the bottom left corner, you can see time has expired. So Atlanta, it was a valiant effort, but it came up short on the clock. Tampa wins 28-24. The Buccaneers will pick up the win here, and that's a statement we haven't made at Imperialism since the 1982 season. The state of Georgia now belongs to them, and the Falcons are out of the game. No expanding this time, we're going to go straight to a game. The wheel will select the Detroit Lions, and the arrow will send them to the southeast, where they will take on the Cleveland Browns. Detroit's backed up, trailing 7-3. Quarterback Bob Galliano was steamrolled by Michael Dean Perry. That ball is out, picked up by David Grayson of the Browns, runs it back in for the touchdown. That'll give Cleveland now a 14-3 lead. Later on in the game, it's 21-10. Detroit is driving. First and goal from the 8-yard line. The pitch goes to rookie running back Barry Sanders. He picks up the touchdown. Detroit will close the gap to 21-16. They actually did go for 2, which is the right decision here, but they didn't get it. They're going to line up for the onside kick. Eddie Murray's going to put it down. That ball's bouncing around. Cleveland will recover it, and they look like they're trying to return it. They get it down to about the 33. That leads to a field goal. The Cleveland Browns hold home field. They win this game 24-16. Invasions have been generally successful so far in 1989 Imperialism, but the Lions tried and failed. The Browns will take over their territory, and they're moving on. The Northeast is starting to congeal as the Washington Redskins head to face the Buffalo Bills. The Bills maintain a 3-0 lead in the second quarter. They have the ball. Jim Kelly, the play-action fake, fires deep to Andre Reed. The Redskins are going to try to catch up to him inside the 10. They do, but they don't get him down. Reed gets to the end zone for a 57-yard touchdown. This put a halt to anything Washington had a chance to do in this game. Buffalo coasts to a shutout victory, 27-0. And speaking of the Northeast starting to congeal, the Bills will pick up all of the Redskins' territory, and only the Giants and those pesky Patriots remain. We're moving along here in 1989 Imperialism. The Packers are chosen by the wheel. They will head to the southeast. That's going to hit the territory of the Kansas City Chiefs. The Cardiac Pack will take on Kansas City. The Packers' Brent Fullwood takes the opening kickoff. He's fighting for yardage, but the ball comes loose, and the Chiefs are looking to pick it up. They do. Dan Saliamua, a big man, he's going to chug his way into the end zone. That is another kick return fumble returned for a touchdown this season. The Chiefs lead 7-0, but the Packers storm right back. Second and goal from the 3-yard line. Keith Woodside goes up the middle and will tie this game up at 7 apiece. We call them the Cardiac Pack. They won a lot of close games this season. Can they do it again here? The Chiefs, though, have first and goal from just inside the 10. Steve DeBerg is going to find Christian Okoye. That is his second receiving touchdown in this Imperialism. He had no such touchdowns in his NFL career. It's 14-7. It's now 14-13 in the fourth quarter. The Packers from their own 40-yard line, down by a point. Don Mikowski will find Sterling Sharp, makes a great catch, gets it just inside the 35-yard line. Now first and goal from the 9. Keith Woodside up the middle again. The ball is out. Kevin Porter will force the fumble, and the Chiefs will recover it, advance it to about the 26-yard line. The Packers defense has a chance to make a stop here. Second and 9, a minute 55. This is play action. They're going to try to pass to Pete Manley. He makes the catch. First down. The Chiefs are able to run out the clock. A scoreless second half. A 14-13 final score. The 1989 Packers were pretty amazing. They won 4 games by exactly 1 point, another by 2 points, and another in overtime. Here in Imperialism, they are the victim of a 1-point game. The Chiefs win, take over the state of Wisconsin, and they, like I said, they were an improved team in 1989. How far can that improvement take them? We're going to be guaranteed a game here as the wheel lands on the surrounded Raiders. They're going to head northeast. That's going to bring the reigning Super Bowl champion, our number 1 ranked team, the San Francisco 49ers, into the fold. Raiders at Niners. The 49ers lost Jerry Rice to injury early in the game when the offense was discombobulated. They get it together here a little in the third quarter. This flip pass from Joe Montana to Tom Rathman goes for a touchdown, putting the 49ers ahead 17-3. They survived their 3-3 halftime score to win this game 24-10. And the champs are now on the board. The Raiders gave it a good fight, but the 49ers will take over the rest of Northern California and have to be still considered the favorite to win this whole thing. We've now eliminated 10 teams in 1989 Imperialism. The Phoenix Cardinals are up next. They're going to head to the west, and that's going to catch the territory of the LA Rams. This is now a divisional matchup. In 1989, it was East versus West. Weird. That game is next. The Cardinals were hanging with the Rams in the first half, but here in the second half, the Rams have started to pull away. Jim Everett's going to throw it deep to Henry Ellard. He's going to coast into the end zone for the touchdown. Like we said, this was a close game. It was 14-14 in the first half, 17-14 at the half, 31-14 here. Final score will be 31-20. The Cardinals gave it a run during this season's Imperialism. They picked up a win, but they couldn't go into LA and grab another one. The Rams will take over the Cardinals' territory, and looking at the map, they have the largest piece of land right now. The Miami Dolphins will always save us a spin. They're going to Tampa to face the Buccaneers. We're tied at 17 in the fourth quarter. The Dolphins have a 3rd and 1. Dan Marino is going to look for tight end Farrell Edmonds. He has the first and more. He will score the touchdown. The Dolphins get the ball back again. This time Marino finds Mark Duper in the end zone, and a close game got blown wide open pretty quickly. Miami leads 31-17, but the Buccaneers are trying to mount a comeback. Only 30 seconds remaining. They're inside the 1. William Howard is going to power his way into the end zone. The Bucs are going to kick this extra point. The score is 31-24. It's all going to ride on this onside kick. Here it comes. The ball is down, and it's going to be Farrell Edmonds who recovers the kick, scores the touchdown, gets the onside kick. The Dolphins go to Tampa, win this game 31-24. The Dolphins' geography means that when they're drawn by the wheel, they have to play a game. The upside to that is when they win that game, they tend to go into isolation. They will take over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers territory and indeed go into isolation. This next spin of the wheel is going to give us the Rams. They're surrounded. We're getting a game. They're heading to the northwest. They looked more likely to play the Broncos or the Cowboys, but they're traveling to San Francisco, a game they won during the 1989 season. Can they do it again? The Niners endured another sluggish first half, but they've taken control here in the second half. From the 43, Montana rolls out, throws deep to John Taylor. He crosses the plane, gets into the end zone. That's 3 consecutive touchdowns for the Niners in this half. They lead 35-14. They're going to take this game with a final score of 38-21. We mentioned that the Rams did beat the 49ers in San Francisco during the regular season. They didn't do so in the playoffs. The Niners beat them 30-3 in the NFC Championship game. And so it was in this game as well. The 49ers will take over the Rams' territory, and now they own the biggest piece of land in the nation. We're going to be getting a super close call with this one. The Bengals are chosen, They will head northeast. A close-up photo finish shows us that arrow never crosses into the Browns' territory. The Bengals are going to travel to Buffalo to face the Bills. While that arrow spin was certainly close, this game is not. The Bengals lead 21-3. This deep pass to Tim McGee from Boomer Esiason goes for a touchdown. The Bengals have jumped all over the Bills, leading 28-3. They take it by a final score of 35-9. It doesn't seem to matter what year it is, the Bengals have the Bills' number. Out from Southern Ohio, the Bengals will take over the Bills' entire territory, and even though they're a Midwest team, they're the dominant force in the Northeast. Half of the NFL's teams have now been eliminated. The wheel will land on the Oilers. We know where they're going. They're going to Dallas to face the Cowboys. On yet another trip to Dallas, this time the Oilers are playing much better than they have in the past. From the 35, Warren Moon rolls out, finds Ernest Gibbons for the touchdown. That is 35 yards. That extends the Oiler lead in the first half to 14-0. The Cowboys' offense was putrid in this game, as they were throughout the '89 season. Oilers win 24-0. The Cowboys have owned the Oilers over the years, but over the last 2 or 3, Houston's had the advantage, even while always having to play in Dallas. The state of Texas is now Oiler country. The Cowboys are out of the game, and the Oilers move on. We waste no time going right back to this wheel. It's going to land on the New Orleans Saints. They're going to head to the Northwest, so the Oilers are being pressed right back into duty. They get to play at home, though, against New Orleans. Being at home didn't seem to matter, though. It's a 14-3 deficit for the Oilers. Second half, Bobby Hebert on the play action finds Eric Martin in the end zone by himself for the touchdown. The Saints have not been playing up to their standards the last couple of seasons, but they make up for it here. That made it 21-3, and for the second time in 3 games, we have a final score of 35-9. The late 80s Saints were very good. In real life, they could never win a playoff game. That was starting to look the case here in Imperialism, but here in 1989, they go into Houston and get the win. They will take over the entire state of Texas, and except for touching the 49ers, they're in a bit of isolation themselves. After a few rounds of expansion, we now will have the Chiefs heading to Cleveland. That's going to be Marty Schottenheimer leading his Chiefs against his old team. The Browns cling to a 7-6 lead, but the Chiefs are on the doorstep. All eyes are going to be on Christian Okoye, so instead Herman Hurd gets the handoff up the middle, will score the touchdown. The Chiefs have now taken the lead at 13-7. They have the ball again. It's 3rd and short from Cleveland's 31-yard line. They try Hurd up the middle again, and he stopped. And in somewhat typical Marty Schottenheimer fashion, the Chiefs are going to punt this ball away. It would be a 50-yard field goal, but they have Nick Lowry. They're going to punt it instead. Cleveland has a chance to block it. They don't. That's going to go out for a touchback. The Browns now have it, 1:47 to go. Tim Manoa up the middle, looking like a sled dog, dragging someone behind him. 21-yard gain. They've now moved it to the 40, 32 seconds left. Here come the Chiefs. They're going to take Kozar down. That is Neil Smith with the sack. It's going to come down to this. It's 4th down, but there's only 10 seconds to go. Bernie Kozar. He's going to look for Webster Slaughter. He's going to make the catch, but come up well short of the end zone. Marty Ball worked in this situation. The Chiefs hold on in the defensive battle, winning this game 13-7. The Chiefs are certainly making some noise in this imperialism. They will go into the Browns' territory, take over their land, and Marty Schottenheimer gets a bit of revenge on his former team. After our next game, we'll have 10 teams remaining. The 49ers are chosen. They're going to head to the Northeast East, we're going to get a Super Bowl 24 rematch. The Broncos will host the 49ers. This game is certainly closer than that Super Bowl was. The Niners lead 14-10. The Broncos back up their defense. The Niners audible on offense. They're going to take Tom Rathman around left end. He's going to cut inside and show some moves. The big man scores a touchdown for the Niners. This game is now 21-10. We're going to head into the fourth quarter. The Broncos have driven it down to the Niner 27-yard line. John Elway is under center. Steps back. He has all day. Fires to Vance Johnson. Easy pitch and catch for the touchdown. The Broncos will cut it to 21-16. No two-point conversion. They missed it, but they've now driven it down to the 2-yard line. It's 3rd and goal. Sammy Winder gets eaten up in the backfield. This may have been 4-down territory, but at the 8-yard line, the Broncos are going to send out kicker David Treadwell. Try to cut this down to 2 points. John Elway instead will stand up, fire to the end zone, incomplete. The Niners will take it down and score one more time, and they get out of Denver with this victory, 28-16. In 1989, the 49ers went 8-0 on the road in the midst of an 18-game road winning streak, still an NFL record. They have their first road game of this imperialism. They take over the Broncos territory, and as mentioned earlier, we are now down to our final 10 teams. We got through a few more expansions. Now the Indianapolis Colts are going to head on to Cincinnati and face the Bengals. The Bengals are in control of this one, leading 21-6. Boomer Esiason, one of the greatest play-action quarterbacks of all time, sends it deep to Tim McGee for the touchdown. The Colts were settling for too many field goals in this game, while the Bengals were getting it into the end zone. That made it 28-6. Our final score will be 35-16. The Colts were able to move the ball. Eric Dickerson went crazy in this game, but like we said, they couldn't punch it in. The Bengals were. The Colts invasion is unsuccessful. The Bengals take over the Colts' land, and their presence on this map continues to grow. The New Orleans Saints have a good enough team to make some noise here, but they're going to be facing their biggest test as the champion 49ers are rolling into town. This first half saw lots of back and forth action. 49er touchdown to John Taylor. Saint touchdown goes to Eric Martin. This one goes to Roger Craig. The Saints are going to answer back again with Eric Martin. And here before the half ends, Montana will find John Taylor for that touchdown. That's going to give the Niners a 20-14 lead. They missed an extra point earlier on. It's now 27-21 in the fourth quarter. The Saints are marching in. This pass goes to Derek Hill. Don Griffin's going to force the ball loose. The Niners are going to pick it up, and they're running it down the sideline. They've crossed the 40. They've got him held up at around the 32, but he breaks free and gets down another 10 yards. The Niners wind up scoring a touchdown from that, and they're going to win this game 34-21. The Niners have been in some tighter games in this imperialism, but they're always finding a way to pull away. They will take over the Saints' land. They own the entire southern border and have almost as much land as every other team combined. 20 teams gone, 8 remain. The Patriots are chosen by the wheel, and they're going to get pulled onto the field once and for all. They've got to go to Cincinnati and face the red-hot Bengals. And red-hot they remain. They have a lead deep into the game, and they're deep in New England territory. James Brooks off tackle, gets into the end zone for the touchdown. That will extend the Bengal lead to 34-14. That's going to be our final score. Boomer Esiason, 415 passing yards, 238 of them to Tim McGee. The Bengals are really taking care of business here. They were AFC champions last season, but they were one and done in Imperialism. They've now won 3 games by an average margin of victory over 20. They take over the Patriots' land, and maybe this is the season where they sneak up and win one of these things. We head back to the wheel, and it will select the Minnesota Vikings. They're going to head down south into the territory of the Kansas City Chiefs. This ought to be a defensive slugfest. And it was, for one side at least. The Vikings bring relentless pressure to the Chiefs all game, have enough offense. That touchdown pass goes to Anthony Carter. That makes it a 17-0 game in the third quarter. The Vikings would pour it on from here, leaving Kansas City with a final score victory of 34-0. The Chiefs will be happy to have won 3 games to this point, but they won't be so happy to have lost this one. The Vikings will take over their territory, and now every team, except for the Seahawks, has seen the field. With the wheel landing on the New York Giants, there is nowhere for them to go except to the Cincinnati Bengals. This is going to be a matchup of top 5 teams. Let's see how it shakes out. We're tied at 7 in the fourth quarter. Eric Wilhelm is in for the injured Boomer Esiason. On 3rd and goal, they won't try a pass. James Brooks will pick up 6 yards up the middle, and they're going to bring out Jim Breach to kick this field goal that would potentially give the Bengals the lead. From 22 yards out, faces no pressure, and he gets it up and in. 10-7 Cincinnati. They have the ball back now. The Giants will try to stop them. 2nd down. The handoff goes to James Brooks. He gets away from one tackler, dives away from another, drags one, breaks one, spins away from one, outruns the rest. What an incredible 61-yard touchdown run for James Brooks. That will put this game out of reach. The Cincinnati Bengals defend the homeland and beat the New York Giants 17-7. In 1989, the Cincinnati Bengals finished 8-8 and last place in the 4-team AFC Central. How is it that they're ranked number 4 in our rankings? Well, their performance and their quality opponents belie that record. They weren't the best team in the league, but they did qualify as 4th best. They beat the Giants. They take over their land. It's not a big land grab. The logo didn't even move. But in terms of quality of victory, it was huge, and now the Bengals sit as one of the last 5 teams remaining. Once the 49ers expanded into Montana, that left the Seahawks nowhere to go. They have to take the field in San Francisco against the Niners. The Niners were once again tied at halftime, but have taken control in the second half. This handoff goes to Tom Rathman. He is deadly inside the 10-yard line. He runs in for the touchdown, giving the 49ers a 21-7 third quarter lead. The fourth quarter went back and forth. The Niners wind up with a 35-15 victory. While they might be playing with fire, they're not getting burned. The 49ers defeat the Seahawks, take them off the map, and have joined the Final Four with a familiar face in the Minnesota Vikings, a new face in the Cincinnati Bengals, and a face that hasn't been around for a while in the Miami Dolphins. The Bengals are sent to the southeast where they will just creep in to the Dolphins' territory. We're getting a pseudo AFC championship game here, Cincinnati at Miami. The Bengals jump out to a 14-0 lead, but Miami's got some offense too. From the 7-yard line, Dan Marino's going to find Mark Duper on a slant. That's a touchdown. The Dolphins get on the board, 14-7. Now there's still time left in the first half. Cincinnati is taking it down to about the 25-yard line. It's 2nd and 15. They're going to run James Brooks around left end. He's going to get away from everybody and outrun the rest. Gets in for the score. The Bengals now lead this game 21-7. Third quarter now, it's 21-10. Miami on the march. They've got the ball at the 40-yard line. Dan Marino is going to look deep to Mark Duper once again. Catches it in stride. And now from 14-0, the Dolphins have cut the deficit to 21-17. Cincinnati, though, from their own 45. They've been running the ball to this point on this drive, but now Boomer Esiason looks deep to Tim McGee. They've left him alone. He's going to streak all the way into the end zone for the long touchdown. The Bengals now lead 28-17. The Dolphins get one back. We're still in the third quarter. It's 28-24. This pitch goes to Eric Ball. He doesn't quite have James Brooks' speed, but he's got enough. And this game has turned into quite a shootout. Still in the third quarter, it's 35-24. We now move to the fourth, and Dan Marino is going to start airing this out even more. This deep pass goes to Mark Clayton. He picks up some extra yards. He drops back again. He's going to look for Mark Duper, makes a diving catch, picks up some extra yards. But now Miami faces 3rd and 13 from the 14. Marino's going to look for Clayton, a rare incomplete pass. Pete Stoyanovich will kick this field goal. The lead is cut to 35-27. The Dolphins get it back again. The aerial show will continue. Mark Clayton, catch and run, gets it to about the 14-yard line. Hasn't gone down. Now he has. The Dolphins once again get forced into 3rd and 10. The Bengals bend but don't break. They stuff the run, and Stoyanovich is going to have to kick another field goal. This is looking like the Bengals-Seahawks game. 35-30. They're forcing field goals. Miami's going to choose to kick this away. Interesting decision here. Stanford Jennings takes the kickoff, a short kick, gets it down to the 32. The Bengals are able to run it down to the 25. Miami brings the defense up with the running threat. The play action works. Tim McGee makes a diving catch in the end zone. Touchdown. Cincinnati will put it away here. Final score of 42-30. After having to play a defensive game with the Giants, they got back to their offensive roots in this one. All that was necessary because Dan Marino set what is probably an Imperialism record with 490 passing yards in this game. Mark Duper went over 100. Mark Clayton went over 200. We mentioned the Bengals-Seahawks game earlier, meant to say Bengals and Colts. That was a game where the Bengals were forcing Indianapolis into lots of field goals. They did it here too with Miami. They invade the Dolphins' territory, they pick up the win, and the Bengals are now in uncharted territory in the final 3 of 1989 Imperialism. Let's give this wheel a spin. It's going to be landing on the 49ers. The arrow's going to take them directly east, and from the center of their logo, that's going to slide right into the Minnesota Vikings territory. So just as the game before, this will be a pseudo NFC championship game. And the Cincinnati Bengals, for the first time in any Imperialism, are going to be playing for the championship. Who will they be playing? Niners and Vikings is now. The 49ers have gotten into first half trouble again, trailing 10-0, but they've driven the ball down to Minnesota's 13-yard line. Roger Craig around right end goes untouched into the end zone. The Niners are on the board now. They trail 10-7. That's going to be our halftime score. Moving on now to the second half. The Niners have it at their own 35-yard line. Montana will drop back. The stop pattern from Jerry Rice. He makes a diving catch and is able to pick up about 35 yards. Later in the drive, Roger Craig, on a very similar play to his first touchdown, gets in. Later in the half, Craig goes right through the middle, knifing through that defense. He didn't have much of a game, but he did score 3 touchdowns. The Niners now lead 21-10. Moving on, it's now 24-10. The Vikings are looking for a comeback. From the 39, Wilson steps up in the pocket, throws to Hassan Jones. It's going to be a foot race to the end zone. They're going to catch him inside the 5-yard line. It's taken now down to 4th down. This is the game for the Vikings. Rick Fenny up the middle will score. They traded for Herschel Walker in this season. We know that trade, but they hand it to Fenny. 24-17. They're going to kick it onside here. The ball is down, and the Vikings will recover. Here we go. From the 48, 18 seconds remain. Wilson will again look for Hassan Jones, but Ronnie Lott will pick it off to end the game. And just for good measure, we're going to speed him up along into the end zone. The Niners on a pick 6 extend the lead to 31-17. Clearly there's no time left on the clock. That's going to be this game's final score. Well, look what we have here. One season after playing each other in the Super Bowl, the 49ers and the Bengals will face off for the Imperialism Championship of 1989. This is the Niners' 3rd consecutive championship game appearance and their 5th in 6 seasons, looking for their 3rd title. The Bengals are debutants. This will be their 1st championship game and their chance at a 1st championship, and they have a chance to become the first team with a non-winning record, an 8-8 team in 1989, to win Imperialism. All we need to do is spin this wheel, find out where the game's going to be, and get these two on the field. Here now is that spin. Will it get to the Bengals? It won't. It stops with the Niners. The Road Warriors are going to head to Cincinnati. 1989 Imperialism Championship game. Now. After a good kickoff return, the 49ers have driven the ball to the Bengal 44-yard line. Roger Craig up the middle, gets away from one and is able to get away from everybody else. They're going to catch up to him but not get him down. No first half problems for the Niners in this one. They jump out to an immediate 7-0 lead. We all know the Bengals can come back. They've got the ball at their own 48-yard line. Boomer Esiason on the short pattern to Tim McGee. He's able to pick up a lot of yards after the catch, getting the Bengals downfield into 49er territory. Now it's 3rd and 1. They need this yard, and they're going to throw on the play action, and it's going to go to Tim McGee. He makes the catch for the touchdown. Bang, bang. This game is now tied up at 7 apiece. The Niners don't get such good field position on the next drive. They are facing 3rd and 6 at their own 16. Play action. Montana caught in the rollout. Corner Eric Thomas with the sack. The Niners are going to be forced to punt from the end zone. This is a direct snap to Roger Craig. He fires to Rice. Anybody can throw the ball to Jerry Rice. 1st down. Unbelievable. 2nd and 10 now. The Niners drive continues. Montana steamrolled by Joe Kelly. The ball is loose, and that is Tim Crumroy, of all people, picking it up. Crumroy broke his leg in the Super Bowl against the Niners, didn't get to play that game. What a redemption for him, scoring this touchdown. 14-7 Bengals. The Niners, though, coming right back. We're in the 2nd quarter now. Montana looking for Rice, makes the catch, keeps on running, gets past the 30 to the 25-yard line, terrorizing the Bengals as he does. 2 plays later, 3rd and 5 from the 20. Roger Craig goes up the middle. He is untouched for the touchdown. Craig has scored the 49ers' last 5 offensive touchdowns. This game already is a riot. It's tied at 14. The Bengals right at midfield. Esiason. He's going to look for Rodney Holman. What a perfectly placed pass. That picks up 23 yards for the tight end. Now we're at the 12-yard line. Under 2 minutes to go in the half. Play action. McGee, of course. What a play. It seems to be unstoppable. The Bengals lead 21-14, but there's still time on the clock, and the 49ers still employ Jerry Rice. A minute to go. from the 35. The pass to Rice. He gets away, picks up yards after the catch, gets them down into field goal range. They're going to have to settle for that field goal here. This is Mike Kofer from 43 yards. It's going to get in. 21-17 at halftime. We now are in the second half. It's 3rd and 18 for the Niners. Montana drops back, throws to Rice, gets away from 2 defenders. Bengals fans are going to have nightmares of this guy. The Niners have 3rd and 1 now. They're going to try Craig, but the Bengals are smart to it. That's going to be another field goal attempt. This Bengals defense is holding teams to field goals. Kofer barely gets it in. 21-20. Ooh, I'm out of breath. The Niners have 3rd and 10 from the 42, their own 42. Montana to Rice. He goes up and gets it. These aren't replays, folks. Rice is doing this over and over and over again. The Niners now face 3rd and 18 at the beginning of the 4th quarter. They're going to try to get some of these yards back to Roger Craig, and they do. That's going to set up another field goal. The Bengals will bend but not break. Mike Kofer from 36 yards is going to bury this one. 23-21, the Niners have retaken the lead. Here come the Bengals, 3rd and 9 from the 44. Play action, but not to McGee this time, to Brooks. And he makes a great cutback, gets it down inside the 10-yard line. James Brooks stepping up in a huge way. 2 plays later, they're going to pitch it to Brooks. He's facing some opposition, but he gets away, and the Bengals now have the lead. 2:34 to go, 28-23. But here come the Niners. They recognize this scenario from Super Bowl 23. Montana steps back. He's going to start the drive with a pass to John Taylor. Makes it at the 42-yard line. 1st down. Oh my goodness, Montana. He's going to look for Craig. He overthrows. That could have been dangerous. 2nd down. Play action. Montana's going to look for Rice, but the help comes through to knock it away. 3rd down. Montana to Rice again. Incomplete. It's 4th down. This could be it. Roger Craig is going to take the handoff up the middle. He doesn't get it. The Bengals now have to run out this clock. Here comes James Brooks. A 1st down will end it. Ronnie Lott will force the fumble. This is insane. The Niners will finally recover with 39 seconds left. Bengals fans know what that time on the clock means. From the 43, Montana on the play action will dump it to Rathman. Very minimal gain. 25 seconds to go. Montana is going to hand it to Rathman. I guess they want to pick up some yards, and they do. And he goes down with 8 seconds left. This is it. This is it from the 22-yard line. What will the Niners do? They're going to run it to Rathman. I don't believe the call, but he breaks the tackle. He gets to the 5, and they get him down. Wow, what a game that was. The Bengals are going to get it over the 49ers, 28-23. What madness is this? Well, here's what we have here. We have the United States of Cincinnati. The orange and black attack covers the United States of America. The Bengals, in a thriller, become 1989 Imperialism champions. The 1989 49ers had that feel of the 1985 Bears, but they were never quite as dominant, especially on defense. Yet they won game after game at Imperialism to repeat their feat of making the championship game. Only this time, they met the team they beat in the previous season's Super Bowl, the Cincinnati Bengals. And we just saw how that turned out. The Niners went 4-0 in the Super Bowls during the 1980s, but in Imperialism, they frustrated with a 2-3 record in the championship game. And in this one, they lost to this Cincinnati Bengals team that had the NFL's 3rd best point differential, trailing only the 2 Super Bowl contestants. This is an excellent football team led by this dynamic offense, flush with talent among all the skill positions. James Brooks and Tim McGee led the way in that regard. This is also an excellent offensive line, led by Anthony Munoz, the greatest left tackle, if not the greatest offensive lineman of all time. This defense was something else though. They tightened up in the red zone time after time, and won multiple games by forcing their opponents into field goals. 3 names of note. We mentioned Tim Krumrie for having to leave Super Bowl 23 with a broken leg, possibly altering the balance of that game. He scored a touchdown in this Imperialism title game. David Fulcher, a monster in a defensive backfield who struck fear into any offense. And Reggie Williams, playing in his 14th and final NFL season, every single one of them with the Bengals. Scoring overall picked up in 1989 with a share of closer games in the first half of the season, including the Cardiac Pack falling victim to a 1-point loss after delivering so many of those during the NFL season. The second half saw the Cincinnati Bengals take the field for the first time and saw several barn burners, many including the Bengals. But even with some great games on this list, nothing can top the twists, turns, and drama of that championship game. Half of the NFL's 28 teams notched a win in this season's Imperialism, but only 4 grabbed more than 1. The Bills and Chiefs announced themselves going forward, but the 49ers and the Bengals led the way with 6 wins each. Of course, it was Cincy that got the biggest win, and they carried that 0 at the end of their record. In overall records, the Niners and the Rams both hit the 40-win mark this season, with San Francisco surging all the way to 4th in those standings. The Vikings inched closer to Dallas, but we would anticipate that gap growing as we enter the 1990s. Thank you so much for getting this far in the video. If you did, I might suspect that you liked it, so please hit that like button and let YouTube know all about it. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future Imperialism videos and the channel's other offerings. Before we sign off on the 1980s, we take one last look at this map representing the amazing 1989 Cincinnati Bengals. This Imperialism run is much more reflective of this team's quality than their 8-8 record. And they got their revenge on the 49ers, which for many Bengals fans might be just as sweet. We look forward to seeing you next time, and until then, I hope you have an awesome day.